Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 1429, written by Banithel. An entire town vanished after midnight. About 20 years ago, my friend and I were driving in the deep country after midnight. We liked to go and try to get lost. We were on a straight stretch of road that had no intersecting roads for some 50 miles. Maybe more, that we'd never been on. We came into this tiny little town and stopped at a 24-hour gas station to fill up and buy drinks and snacks. It didn't even register at the time that a gas station in the middle of a podunk town would be open that late. The lady behind the counter rang us up and said, "You need to be out of town before 1. Freaked the frick out, my friend and I bolted and continued our trip, nervous about what she meant. We were out of town with 5 minutes to spare, and kept going on that stretch. Another hour into our trip on the same road, we decided we were going to head back home. We turned around and went back the same way we came. We decided we were going to stop at another gas station on the edge of town, if it was open, because we were some thirsty bros. An hour goes by and nothing. Another 5 minutes and it's a cornfield. We thought we were just tired and misjudged the timing. We made it to the other end of that road without finding that town. It freaking vanished. We checked several maps and it was a cornfield through. We checked MapQuest, yes, that long ago, and it was a freaking field. The next day, no crap, there were news reports of a small group of cheerleaders that went missing along the road. Totally freaking gone, no trace at all. All these years later, there's still no bodies and no evidence, and the car is just gone. There's a record of a town being there some 100 or so years ago, but there have been cornfields there ever since. We swore to take it to our grave, but I had to open up and get it out. Case answer file 1429. An entire town vanished after midnight. Oh, I love this glitch, but it's damn sad for those cheerleaders. I wonder what actually happened to them. There's no question the town vanished, since it's literally one straight stretch of road. It's impossible to get turned around or lost if you just traveled back and forth on it. A ghost town from a century ago, but that's beyond any stories I've read. Ghosts are barely capable of manifesting in our realm at all, let alone an entire physical town, complete with real food that you bought and ate? No way. It had to be from another universe, but then how was the lady at the counter aware that the town would slip away for you? And why exactly after 1? There's some clue here that isn't making sense, because the lady knowing that the town would vanish, that is completely different, because most people in these multiverse events, they have no clue anything's going on, besides like oddities that don't quite add up, but even then, often people don't even notice those. It almost sounds like an experiment. Case file number 1430, written by Wolfseye555, The Silence That Speaks Volumes. My family owns this property that used to have a restaurant on it. By the time my parents bought it, the restaurant had long since been torn down, and the only things that remained was the foundation and the pole that the sign for the restaurant had been on. Even though it was located in a very rural area, it's not a quiet place. It was located next to one of the few highways in the area, and there was a pond behind the property where a lot of wildlife would gather. Between the cars, the bugs, the birds, and the rowdy trailer park nearby, there was constant noise, for the most part. While wandering around the property one day, I was playing near the back end of the foundation when suddenly, all the noise just stopped. No sound of cars passing by, no chirping of birds, no buzzing of bees, just silence. It wasn't until I left that particular spot that there was noise again. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who experienced this. My dad and my brother both told me that there was an odd period of silence at a specific spot. I found out later that the reason the restaurant was torn down was because the couple that had owned the restaurant died there. This might be wishful thinking, but maybe nature itself wanted to have a moment of silence for the lives lost in that area. Case answer file 1430. The Silence That Speaks Volumes. Honestly, that's just a beautiful sentiment. Even nature itself pausing to give respect to the couple that died there. I don't know if that's the cause or if it was some multiverse transition point and you were caught in limbo, so all the sound just mutes out. But I'd rather go with the first one. Nothing wrong with a bit of heartwarming faith. Bonus file written by Firewood666, The Unexplained Flickering in Elyria's Historic Home. Back in my hometown of Elyria, Ohio, after my parents got divorced, my mom lost the house because of my dad, so we moved most of our stuff into my grandpa's house and lived with him for the next 2 or 3 years. This house was the first house on the street and pretty much qualified as a historical building. My mom told me about a tree in the backyard that was really huge and old that my grandpa had cut down for some reason. My grandpa was an electrician, technician, and had a lot of computers which he fixed for people who needed help. The basement was full of electronics and wires, and I'm almost certain he installed some of the lights down there himself as he built an entire section of the house. The story starts here. I was 9 or 10 years old. It was nighttime, and my older brother was upstairs. There were no adults home because my mom was at college and my grandpa was in the hospital. I was hungry and wanted to get a can of corn from the basement, like all little boys do. So I walked over to the basement stairs and turned on the lights. Nothing came on. I flickered the lights a little bit, still nothing. This happened after a family friend died, and upstairs my brother and I confirmed that there were ghosts, so I didn't go upstairs after dark without my mother home. Anyways, I grabbed a flashlight and went downstairs. I pulled out a stool and stood on it underneath the shop light, incandescent. I reached for the chain thinking it was off, but I was too short. Suddenly, the light turned on. I froze for a good 5 seconds before running upstairs and turning off the light, going back to the living room. After that day, I stayed in the living room all night till my mom got home and put me to bed, because I was too scared to go upstairs to sleep in a bed without my mom. To add insult to injury, the house had 2 bathrooms, one upstairs and one in the basement. But we had a good big fence in the backyard, so everything was fine. I'm sure there is a perfectly logical explanation as to why a 40-plus-year-old house would have the basement lights flicker, but my 10-year-old brain didn't care. And I still don't. That house is haunted, and I'll never go past the living room without someone with me at night, even if my grandpa becomes healthy again. Case notes for the bonus file. The Unexplained Flickering in Elyria's Historic Home. Honestly, it's just safer to assume that weird oddities like this are from a haunting. It's entirely plausible that the old wiring in that house was responsible for the delayed activation and flickering, but risk-taking when there's no reward, well, there's no purpose in that. Why risk it? Just don't go back down there. As far as sneaking downstairs to get a can of corn, boy did we have different tastes as kids. I'd sneak downstairs to get cookies, literally in the cliché way on top of the fridge. My mom actually thought that would stop me. I was a little monkey, so adorable. Now time for the poem of the day. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. Mary Elizabeth Fry. I just thought this was beautiful when I came across it the other day, and I wanted to include it here. I am not there, I did not die. That can be taken in many ways, but I think if you're religious or even just believe in a simulation or anything like that, that life persists after death, that the person, the soul that was there, is no longer there, but is still alive and functioning. I just find that beautiful. And this is a great way to say it. Do not mourn the dead, because they're not really dead in the way most people think. And there's a juxtaposition there where a lot of people are religious, but they still mourn the dead, even though they believe, or at least they say they believe, that they're in a better place. So it really is a personal thing. The mourning is for yourself, for the adventures you can no longer have with that person, for the jokes and humor and banter and fine dining that you can't enjoy anymore with them. There is sorrow in that, but I think it's very comforting to know that for them, they'll have their own adventures of a different sort. Adventures we can't even fathom. Until it's our turn. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.